Hey guys, and welcome back to another Warlords of Draenor video. This time we're going to be taking a look at some of the weapons that I've missed over the last while, and more specifically, some of the ones that we now have the animations and spell effects for. Now, first of all, we have seen this model before, but two things you'll notice. There's a bit of glimmering going on here. Doesn't look fully featured at the minute, but I imagine it would have something to do with maybe a burst of energy coming out from the top or something like that. Then there's also a bit of a, just like a spell effect there on the lantern. I think this actually looks really cool, and I like how it's shooting stuff out of the sides there. It's got a good profile, this weapon. I think it really is looking kind of cool. So this one, definitely a big plus for me, and hopefully if that spell effect is just polished up a little bit, it could look pretty nice. Still though, I do like the way it jumps out horizontally like that. I think that's really pretty cool, and that would look well in-game. Okay, so next we have this. Now, just wait for it. It'll take a minute for this guy to fire up, but when it does, very, very cool. And that said, it may take a minute. The weapon itself, I mean, it's pretty cool. This thing look like in the middle, the spinning around, it looks a little bit odd. I don't know what it is. It just, I think it's probably because we're not seeing it in game in motion. The only thing is moving. That's moving is this. So maybe it doesn't look too great. But oh yeah, there we go. Boom. So essentially, it kind of fires up. It goes in this. Well, you know, it kind of goes all molten. It starts jumping about the place. I think that's really cool. Also, it floats, which is a thing. Now, what do you guys think about this? Well, what it seems to do is replicate the animal, like the mouth of an animal or something like that, because you can see these two tusks kind of closing in. I think that's cool. In its default position, maybe not looking so cool, but when it actually fully goes into motion and starts moving, then I think it's a really nice weapon. Overall, though, it's pretty solid, and it's definitely indicative of the fact that a lot of weapons in Warlords are being made more interesting. Alright, so next, speaking of interesting weapons, this is a blue quality item, actually. And I think that at that, it's a very, very cool blue. It's a gun, as you can see there, but it's a very different one. It looks like it comes from Shadowmoon Valley. A little bit of a bug going on there, but overall, I think that's just a really different gun. And there are some transmogs that this is going to look fantastic with, I think. You know, for the people who just they don't want a traditional gun. Well, I think for them, this is really going to be, kind of nice. Alright, so let's just jump through these bows. The reason I put them here is because I haven't covered them before. I don't know exactly what quality they are, but I really like them. They're a little bit more simple, yes, but I like the way they're kind of covered in iron and bone, but in a way that's not ridiculously extravagant, so I think these are some really nice bow models. Alright, so next up we're on Untitled Champion, taking a look at this sword. The reason I put it here is just because I think it's really, well, it's really cool, but one little thing I want to mention is that I'm pretty sure there's a scaling error going on here. I think there's no way that, well, I guess they could make a sword that big for a human, but I'm not particularly sure if they will. Just look at the hand. I don't think that's all in scale at the minute. So I'm just going to talk about the weapon model itself. And, oh, look at me hitting buttons that I shouldn't hit. Yeah, I think this weapon is really, really cool. It is, of course, brutal and savage, blah, 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 as we all know, but I like the curved end on the top. I like the way there's lots of little juts and spikes. I like the way that there's quite clearly some wear and tear on the blade itself. I think that's really cool. And then it's got this nice big burst of color going through the middle. And I think what's particularly nice is, especially here in this, the green one and the red one, and I suppose the blue one as well, that it's not washed out the color. That's just a nice solid old green that's bright and interesting and cool. I think that's really important for World of Warcraft designs, because they have been a little bit too washed out in the past, and okay, I know the blade itself isn't particularly colorful, but I just think having that splash of color in there really does help. And I also like the way that the tip of this blade, it just kind of looks like it's very good for, yeah, stabbing, but also just slashing. Like for an outward slash, it just looks like it would really slice things up pretty well. So I think that's a really nice weapon, and yeah, well done Blizzard. Anyway, let's move on to the next batch of things. Alright, so next we have this staff, and that was kind of convenient because right as I moved away from Untitled Champion, Firefox crashed. Awesome. Anyway, so we have these staffs. They're not massively animated, but there's a spell effect there, so I thought it was worth showing. And I think as far as staffs go, they look kind of pretty. Well, not pretty, but they look good. They've got a pretty cool profile. I think they're Arakoa styled. Just when you put it sort of in this shape, that reminds me of a bird's beak a little bit. So I think that's where these guys could come from. But overall, I think just some nice, really solid staffs. Then finally we have this. I just saw it posted on Wowhead and thought, hey, that's really nice. Actually, I really like this weapon. I know we had seen a kind of crappy 2D image of this one beforehand, but seeing it's full on 3D glory really has me pretty happy. I think if you were rolling around as a Draenor warrior, dual wielding one of these would look, it doesn't really look dual wieldy actually. Well, if you look at the hand grip, that would certainly say to me dual wield, but looking at the actual size of the weapon, I think Blizzard might make this a one-hand. Not 100% sure, but I think it's a really nice looking weapon regardless. I like this style, I like the crystalline stuff, because it just puts in that splash of color that I've been missing from a few World of Warcraft sets. And also, I just think some of this crystal stuff is going to look pretty well with some of the new sets, especially that new Paladin one, because it's got the hints of purple in it, so if you could pick that up in your weapon, you know, kind of pick up on those hints of purple and just have one nice kind of unified theme throughout your armor set, I think that could look really cool. Anyway, that's just a quick little look at some of the newer weapons and the cool animations that we're going to be seeing in Warlords, especially this thing, which is interesting. I think it was it Critherio? One of the CMs said that they're definitely having more of an effort to make interesting weapons in the game, and they're going to be animating them and things like that, and we already saw that through that crazy hunter spider bow that I showed off a while back. Anyway, that's it for the video. Hope you found it useful, and I'll see you next time.